Thomas Jefferson, in his notes on the state of Virginia, once said that, "I tremble for my country when I reflect that God is just and that his justice cannot sleep forever." Jefferson, like myself, was not a man of faith in the sense we mean it today, but was a man who had great faith in the value and the inevitability of justice. At the time, he was speaking of the great injustice of slavery, a blight on my country's reputation that we might one day hope to escape, such escape delayed inevitably by the desire of many to imagine that we already have, despite the evidence around us. Today we live in a different era of injustice, as men, women, and children are disappeared off of our streets, or worse, shot in cold blood by the people who keep telling us we should trust, we should obey, we should comply. When we show up for the victims, we are asked to leave. We are gassed for staying. The law believes that order is more important than justice. And so even those who know there are real people in bondage, that their families grieve for them, that their daughters fall in the asphalt in despair at the gates of an unsterile wasteland of a prison next to a sewer processing plant in fucking New Jersey, they still tell us to calm down, to lower the volume, to stand here, speak there, speak only to designated time and place until a new time and a new place is designated for us, and order prevails while justice withers. And while the volume is held down, the people with real power, the power of life and death in their corrupt hands, post things like this as an unironic celebration of evil. I had the privilege of speaking to an important person today, a person running for office in my state. Was impressed that they called me personally, and I told them who I was and what I've seen in California, Chicago, and Minnesota, and Florida, and Washington, D.C. I promised them that they would have my vote, because to vote for the alternative would be unthinkable. But when they asked for a donation, I told them that my donations are for candidates that show up, who don't just lament the injustice, but those who make public statements about it, those who protest it, those who are more concerned with the future than their own power. He sympathized, but told me as a public official, he couldn't join me out there. He couldn't be associated with that. People like that must be pushed out of office by people like this.
And this is so important for every single one of my colleagues to hear these stories. I've read through them. They are heart-wrenching. These are children. They're children just like my 8-year-old and my 10-year-old, just like the kids that are watching your show. We should treat all kids, regardless of where they're from, with just the heart and the tenderness that they deserve.
And this? And this.
Guys, ready? And balancing. Sir, hands up. I'm Senator Alex Padilla. I have questions for the secretary, because the fact of the matter is a half a dozen violent criminals that you're rotating on your hands off.
As I travel this nation that I love, I meet two kinds of people. Those of us who have seen the evil and cannot look away, and those who cannot or will not look. Ask a random person if they've heard of Delaney Hall or Otay Mesa or Whipple or Broadview. They haven't. I show them what I've seen with my own eyes. The disgust is real. The surprise is genuine, but the quickness with which they move back to a safe subject is jarring. Too many people in public like so many people in power, prefer not to know too much about the uglier parts of now. I believe that's why Jefferson felt and said as he did, that he saw the indifference to cruelty around him and felt powerless in the face of it. But while he never got to see it, his descendants, along with the descendants of the very slaves that he owned and profited from, and still forced himself to acknowledge the injustice of it, those people did end slavery. They moved the needle toward justice over the course of lifetimes, not years. And this is why I do not despair. Not because these evils will correct themselves, but because I see the people who refuse to look away from it. I see the people who fight against it, the people who truly do love their neighbor more than themselves. And I know that I must keep pushing, because this isn't reality TV. This is reality. And the future will be what we make of it. I choose to believe we can be better, and I demand that everyone does their part to make it so.